Hey guys, it's Miss Nelson. Today your notes are going to be over geometric concepts with equations. So we're going to be dealing with equations, but now we're going to be bringing in shapes and angles and things like that. So you see at the top of your note page, it gives you some important points you need to remember, such as the sum of all angles in a triangle is 180 degrees. The sum of all angles in a quadrilateral is 360 degrees. The sum of complementary angles is 90 degrees. That means that two angles form a right angle, 90 degrees. And the sum of supplemental angles is 180 degrees. That means that it forms a straight line because that's 180 degrees. So let's look at our first example. It says angle ABC measures 90 degrees. So because B is in the middle, we are talking about angle B here. The angle has been separated into two angles. If one angle measures 57 degrees, what is the measure of the other angle? So you see in your picture that one is 57, the other is unknown, and that is x, but together they equal 90. So I'm going to use that information to set up an equation. So I'm going to write 57 plus x equals 90. Now that this is a one-step equation, we're going to go through and we're going to solve just like we have previously. So I have to zero out the 57 by subtracting 57. And if I do it to one side, I must do it to the other side as well. That leaves me with x equals, I'm going to borrow, and I get 3. So I get x equals 33 degrees. So this angle right here is 33 degrees. Okay, example 2. Michelle is designing a parking lot. She has determined that one of the angles should be 115 degrees. What is the measure of angle x and angle y? So we're going to be solving for two different angles, so x and y. So I'm going to divide my paper in half. If I start with x, I know that angle x and the 115 angle right here form a solid line. So that's 180 degrees. So x plus 115 equals 180. So I'm going to zero out that 115 by subtracting. If I do it to one side, I've got to do it to the other side. That leaves me with x equals, I'm going to borrow, so I get 65 degrees for the measure of angle x. So that's going to be 65 degrees. So I'm going to do the same thing for y, except for that y and angle y form a different straight line, but it still forms a straight line, so it's still 180. So y plus 115 equals 180. You should recognize that your math is the same. So zero out your 115, subtract it from your 180. So y also equals 65 degrees. Now, something you could have noticed if you did not know these, that since x and y are opposite angles, okay, they are opposite of each other, what you should know, or what you can know from this point forward, is that opposite angles are equal. So if you knew that the opposite angles were equal, and then you knew that x was 65, you could infer that y is also equal to 65. Okay, let's look at our last example. Your house needs a new fence to enclose the backyard. The length of your yard is 15 yards, and the width is x yards. The area of the enclosed yard is 60 square yards. What is the width of your yard? Okay, so we're not given a picture, so I'm going to draw a picture here to kind of better illustrate it. So here's our yard that's going to be figured out, and we know that the area of this yard equals 60 square yards. Okay, it tells us that the length is 15 yards, and it tells us that our width is unknown. It's going to be x. So what you should remember is that in order to find area of a rectangle, you multiply the length times the width. So 15 times x equals my area of 60. To get that x to be 1x, I'm going to divide both sides by 15 because that's what's connected to the x. That leaves me with x equals 4 because 60 divided by 15 is 4, and I'm going to put my label of yards. Okay, so we are going to be practicing this quite a bit. So make sure if you have any questions, you come ready to ask them. Okay? Have a good day.